Hello, and welcome to Lease Queries Accountant's Angle, a podcast where our experts answer your most burning questions regarding accounting topics and upcoming changes. I'm your host, Emily Fish, Product Accounting Manager here at Lease Query. And today I'm joined by Amanda Payne, Technical Accounting Manager at Lease Query, to discuss the first 3 steps to your ASC 842 transition. To get the most out of this podcast, make sure to download our ASC 842 transition checklist, which we will link in the show notes. Great. Amanda, thanks for joining us today. Let's kick it off. The first step is educating our stakeholders. Can you explain best practices around kicking off the project internally?
Sure. So now I want you to remember educating a company could really be a continuous process. But in talking with companies at the very beginning, the most effective process in adopting a new standard, or really any standard, is establishing a point person. So a champion, if you will. This person is actually going to serve as the liaison between the various departments and the key stakeholders. So what will be important for this point person to do is, 1, set up an internal meeting. That way you can discuss the changes that are getting ready to take place and just really discover what's going to be the significant areas for the company specifically. So setting up the meeting is going to be important. You should probably walk through and understand what's going to be important within their current process. So thinking about those who are affiliated with the leases in the company today. Now, based off of my experience, not a lot of the support behind what individuals are doing are documented. So if they aren't documented, I definitely recommend setting up some type of interview process to figure out what they're actually doing, who's actually responsible for initiating the contract, who's recording the entries, the AP team, maybe even those who are managing expirations and renewals. So setting up a meeting, being able to discuss and walk through those changes that will take place in the current process will be important. And then lastly, I think about determining what's going to be important for each department. So this will lean towards a larger conversation with figuring out functional requirements and determining what would be the best solution. So those would be the best practices that I would consider when kicking off this project internally.
That's a great thing to consider, Amanda. You know, with 842, you do have a lot more cross-functional opportunity here in implementing the standards. That's a great call out. So for step 2, can you explain how I should create a complete inventory or a complete lease population?
Yeah, absolutely. So really, this one is really one of the most challenging parts of the new standard, really just maintaining an inventory or collecting an inventory of releases. So what I would say is start with gathering a list of all contracts. And the reason I say all contracts is because everyone in your company may not be familiar with how a lease is defined. So reaching out to each department just to ask them, hey, could you provide me with a lease agreement? Their response may be, we don't have leases. They may not be aware of an old equipment or copier that's actually on lease. So gathering all the contracts will allow the point person or specific individuals in the accounting team to actually read through the contracts and determine whether it's deemed to be an in-scope lease. So definitely want to start there with maintaining that inventory. I'd probably even suggest doing an AP scrub. So this is where you'd be checking for reoccurring payments. And typically that's a great way of expanding on the listing of leases. So you may not have the agreement from the contracts that are provided for you or to you, excuse me, but being able to perform that AP scrub and going through to see those payments might lean towards having an actual lease or leases.
All right. Well, step 3 walks through establishing the functional requirements for a lease accounting software. Can you share your thoughts on how many leases and or what types of leases would a company need to have to warrant software?
Yeah, you know what? I really say that this is something that varies from company to company. I can't really say real estate leases over equipment leases is better for software or vice versa, or even thinking about 5 to 10 leases versus hundreds of leases. Is really going to be up to each company. So think of it this way: if we're thinking about 5 to 10 leases, maybe those 5 to 10 leases are pretty complex, and maybe you have limited staff that's accounting for them. While it is somewhat of a smaller lease portfolio size, software might be the best option for you. So what I can say, just based off of my experience, once you get in the double digits, it is going to be worth looking out or considering a software solution for your company.
Thanks so much, Amanda. And thanks to our listeners for joining today's Accountant's Angle. Don't forget to tune in 2 weeks as Amanda takes you through steps 4 through 6 of your ASC 842 transition. Remember, you can submit your questions for upcoming podcasts and our experts will share their insights. Thanks.